Major League Baseball is on high alert right now, and a lot of eyes are fixed on what's happening in New York. And the Yankees are clearly gearing up for something big, and the trade market is heating up fast. According to several reports, the front office is deep in conversations, actively exploring moves to upgrade the roster and transform this team into a real contender for the World Series. It's not just speculation anymore. There are real names floating around, and the intentions are obvious. New York is preparing to strike. And if you know anything about this team's history, you already know the trade deadline is when they like to make noise. So buckle up, because the next few weeks are going to be wild. Now, for those who've been following this team day in and day out, you've probably noticed the same thing. The hunger, the aggressiveness, the determination to win now. This isn't a franchise content with just making the playoffs. They want more. They want rings, and right now they see a window. The roster isn't quite complete yet, but they're in first place in the American League East, controlling the division, and barring any major collapse, a spot in the postseason looks very likely. But this front office knows that October is a different animal. To survive and thrive in the playoffs, depth is key. So they're not just looking to tweak things, they're preparing to make impact moves. There's already talk about what positions are top priority. Starting pitching is one of them. Even with a solid rotation, injuries and fatigue are always lurking as the season grinds on. Adding one more reliable starter could make all the difference. The bullpen also needs a little more bite. There's talent there for sure, but a few more arms, especially a strong lefty, will go a long way. And then there's the infield. Third base has been a weak spot, plagued by errors and inconsistency. The team knows that if they want to make a deep run, they can't afford liabilities on defense. So yes, reinforcements are coming. The only question is who's getting traded and who's coming in. One name that keeps coming up is a reliever from another American League team. He's under contract through the year 2030. And while it's not common to see players like that on the block, this situation is different. The pitcher is 28 years old. A bit older than most on that kind of deal, and there's a sense that his current team might want to capitalize on his value while it's high. And high it is. The guy has been lights out all season. 14 appearances, 14 and 2/3 innings, 0 earned runs, 18 strikeouts, a whip of 1.023. That's elite. His tendency to give up walks has raised a few eyebrows, but it's not a deal breaker, especially when you look at how dominant he's been overall. He's the kind of guy who could come in and instantly stabilize a bullpen. And with years of control left on his deal, he's not just a rental. He could be a long-term piece. Now, if we shift focus to the Yankees' bullpen situation, there are already a few right-handed arms doing great work. One of them has been absolutely dominant, and another has been consistently solid. But outside of those two, the options start to thin out. The setup man has been handling the 8th inning well, but his contract only runs through the end of the season. So the question becomes, do you go all in on him and hope he holds up, or do you bring in someone like this reliever, someone who could take over that role, or even evolve into the closer down the line? This is where things get interesting, because the Yankees have a couple of veteran arms in the bullpen, including one guy who's 35 and not part of the team's future plans. That's why a younger, controllable pitcher makes so much sense right now. Someone who doesn't command a massive salary, but can give you stability and upside. And honestly, this reliever sounds a lot like a former Yankee, the kind of dependable bullpen piece that helps you win tight games in October. It wouldn't be shocking to see them pull the trigger on that kind of move, especially if they can swing a deal without giving up any top-tier prospects. Now, speaking of lefties, that's another area where the Yankees are actively looking. They've got 2 left-handed relievers right now who are doing most of the heavy lifting, and both have been solid. But you can't rely on just 2 guys for an entire season, especially when one of them might wear down later in the year. So, adding another lefty, someone who can handle tough matchups in key situations, could be huge. There are a few options out there, and the front office is keeping tabs on all of them. Let's talk about position players for a second. One name that keeps surfacing in rumors is Brendan Donovan. This guy's a Swiss Army knife. He can play third, base, second base, and even some outfield if needed. But his primary spot is in the infield, and that's where he shines. He's been having an excellent season so far. 1.2 WAR, 38 hits in 114 at-bats, a batting average of .333. Not a lot of power, just 3 home runs, but an OPS of 870 and an OPS plus of 143. That's legit. He's getting on base at a clip of 379 with a slugging percentage close to 500. Oh, and he's stolen 3 bases too. So yeah, the guy can do a little bit of everything, and here's the kicker. The team he plays for is going through a rebuild. That opens the door for the Yankees to step in and make an offer, but it won't come cheap. Donovan's trade value is sky high right now, and it's going to take real assets to get him. We're talking about parting with at least one top 10 prospect, maybe more. There are a couple of names that could be in play, maybe some young pitchers, maybe an infielder who's blocked at the major league level. Nothing's official, of course, but the framework for a deal is definitely there. This wouldn't be a move just for this year either. Donovan fits into the Yankees' long-term plans. He's the type of player who could be your leadoff hitter for years. He's not the right-handed bat they've been hunting for, but his contact skills and versatility more than make up for that. You could slot him at the top of the order, bump Judge down to the 2-hole, and create some really interesting matchups. And hey, he already has chemistry with Paul Goldschmidt from their time together in St. Louis, which could help the transition. And just to add another layer to this, there's still Jazz Chisholm Jr. on the radar. His season's been a bit of a roller coaster. Great power, not so great batting average, a few injuries along the way. But last year when he played third base for the Yankees, he was solid. 48 games, .273 average, 11 home runs, 28 runs scored, an OPS of 825. That's production you can work with. And defensively, he's got a cannon for an arm. If the Yankees don't land Donovan, sliding Jazz back to third could be an option. Then you've got Oswald Cabrera off the bench, another versatile piece, unless he gets included in a trade himself. Bottom line, the Yankees are lining up their options. And make no mistake, they're going to do something. Whether it's Donovan, that elite reliever, another starting pitcher, or a lefty for the bullpen, moves are coming. This is a front office that sees the window and knows how to strike. The team is good, but they're not done yet, not by a long shot. Now, while Brendan Donovan and that standout reliever have dominated the headlines, there's still a lot of noise surrounding other potential targets. And one of them is Jazz Chisholm Jr., a player who's got all the tools, even if the results this season have been a bit uneven. Let's be honest, he's not having the year people expected. His batting average is hovering around 181, and his OPS is sitting at 714. Not terrible, but not the kind of production you want from a starting infielder either. That being said, he's still hit for some power and shown flashes of what he's capable of. The inconsistency has been the real issue. When he's hot, he looks like an all-star. But when he's cold, it's hard to justify keeping him in the lineup. There's also the injury factor. Jazz has been banged up this season, and that's definitely impacted his rhythm. But here's where it gets interesting. He actually performed really well last year when the Yankees gave him a shot at third base. Across 48 games, he hit .273, slugged 11 homers, drove in 23 runs, scored 28 times, and posted an OPS of .825. That's production you can live with, especially from a player still finding his groove in a new position. And defensively, he was more than solid. With his range and cannon of an arm, he brought some serious stability to the hot corner. The idea of bringing him back into that role isn't as far-fetched as it might seem. And if the Yankees do decide to go that route, that opens up a few different possibilities. You could leave Donovan at second base, where he's been playing most of the season, and let Jazz take over third full-time. Or if a Donovan deal doesn't happen, Jazz becomes the next best internal option at third, and the Yankees could use their prospect capital to chase a high-impact arm instead. The beauty of this roster is that it has some flexibility. Oswald, Cabrera could step in as a utility guy off the bench or be included in a trade, depending on what kind of return the front office is targeting. Either way, there are chess pieces in play. One of the big storylines here is how the Yankees balance long-term planning with short-term urgency. The team wants to win now. There's no question about that. But they also don't want to gut the farm system in the process. It's a tough line to walk. Fans are demanding results, the front office wants to deliver, and the clock is ticking. If they're going to pull off a blockbuster, they gotta be strategic. Giving up a top prospect for a rental doesn't make sense unless that rental takes you over the top. That's why someone like Donovan, who's still young and under control, makes a lot more sense than a one-year flyer. And let's not forget the Yankees are not the only ones shopping. Other contenders are out there, scouting the same names, making the same calls. That adds urgency. It also drives up the price. So if New York wants to strike first, they might have to pay a premium. That's just the reality of competing in a market full of aggressive buyers. But if the return is right and the fit is there, you go get your guy. Period. What's clear right now is that the Yankees can't stand pat. They've had a good first half, no doubt, but the roster still has holes. The rotation could use more depth, especially with the wear and tear that's bound to hit in August and September. The bullpen needs another lockdown arm, preferably a lefty who can get out tough hitters in high leverage spots. The infield defense needs to tighten up. Third base has been a revolving door, and the errors are costing games. And offensively, they still lack that consistent presence at the top of the lineup. That's why names like Donovan and Jazz keep coming up. They solve real problems. There's also a leadership component here. You look at someone like Donovan, he's got that quiet toughness, that grinder mentality. He fits the culture the Yankees are trying to build. You add a guy like that and it sends a message to the clubhouse. We're all in. That kind of move can light a fire under the entire team. The same goes for adding a dominant reliever. When the bullpen feels secure, the whole pitching staff relaxes. Starters go deeper. Managers breathe easier. It changes the way you manage close games. And come playoff time, that's everything. It's worth mentioning that there's also a scenario where the Yankees could go for both. Add Donovan to fix the infield and lengthen the lineup. Add the reliever to lock down the 7th or 8th inning. Push your setup man into a more flexible role. Maybe even prepare for a changing of the guard at closer. It's ambitious, sure, but it's not out of reach. They've got the assets. They've got the need, and they've got the pressure to deliver. The fan base is watching. The league is watching. And the window to make these moves is closing fast. Now, if the Yankees swing big and land both, you're looking at a team that can match up with anyone. They've already got star power. Judge, Stanton, Cole. What they need is glue. The type of players that bring everything together. Donovan could be that glue on the infield. The reliever could be that anchor in the bullpen. Together, they could elevate this team from contender to favorite. But again, execution is everything. The right moves at the right time for the right price. So as we inch closer to the deadline, every game matters a little more. Every injury, every slump, every performance, it all plays into the final calculus. The front office is watching. The scouts are working overtime. The phones are buzzing. And if history tells us anything, it's that the Yankees don't stay quiet for long. But before we continue, please remember to join our channel and give this video a like. Your support allows us to keep bringing you the latest news about the New York Yankees. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments. In a bold move that sent shockwaves through Major League Baseball, the New York Yankees have officially announced the acquisition of superstar third baseman Nolan Arenado. General Manager Brian Cashman didn't hesitate to show his excitement, declaring, with him, we're going to win the World Series. The statement underlines the franchise's renewed urgency to end its championship drought and restore its dominance in the league. Arenado, widely regarded as one of the best defensive infielders in the game and a powerful presence at the plate, brings immediate impact to a Yankees lineup already filled with star talent. His combination of Gold Glove caliber defense and consistent offensive production could be the missing piece the Bronx Bombers have been looking for. Throughout his career, Arenado has proven to be a model of consistency, regularly posting high batting averages, driving in runs, and flashing brilliance at third base. Cashman's decision to open the checkbook for Arenado reflects not only the organization's financial power, but also the pressure mounting from fans and media. After years of falling short in the postseason, the Yankees are under immense scrutiny to deliver a championship. Arenado's arrival could signal the dawn of a new era in the Bronx, one where excuses are no longer acceptable and only titles will suffice. Inside the clubhouse, the reaction has been electric. Players have welcomed Arenado as a game changer, a leader by example whose work ethic and experience can elevate the team both on and off the field. His presence also takes some pressure off fellow sluggers like Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton, potentially creating one of the most feared lineups in baseball. If there were any doubts about the Yankees' ambitions this season, they've now been silenced. By bringing in Nolan Arenado, Brian Cashman has made it crystal clear. The Yankees are all in, and with the postseason in sight, one of baseball's most storied franchises may finally have the roster to add another chapter to its legendary legacy. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the New York Yankees, please subscribe to our channel and give us a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.